Hey everyone, I am very excited to introduce to you Dr. Teresa R. Martin. She is a legal consultant and top business growth strategist that knows and understands the fundamentals and principles that help small business owners see dramatic and immediate increases in both their revenue and profits, no matter what type of business or industry you're in. Dr. Martin has coached hundreds of small business owners internationally, so we thought it would be wonderful to sit down and discuss how entrepreneurs could implement a very simple, proven, and tested method to double profits with little time, effort, or expense. In fact, what if you could discover a formula today that would create massive exponential growth for your business, starting immediately? I'm John Marble, and this is Build Your Difference.
This is Build Your Difference, a podcast created by Blue Artists, a brand platform with one goal: to help great visionaries like you build impressive brands. Every month, we'll bring you insightful tips, knowledge, and compelling stories from successful entrepreneurs and the Blue Artists team on how to create and to market a winning brand that does more than just launch a new product or service. It starts an ongoing conversation. Because you're not just making a brand, you're making a difference. Let's start building.
If you ask any small business owner what they need most in their business, you get the same two answers every time: more customers and more revenue. But here's the problem. What does it take to produce more customers and more revenue? And how can you do it consistently? Well, I recently had a chance to speak with Dr. Teresa about this very issue. Take a listen to our conversation. I think you'll be amazed at the information and insights she has to offer. Teresa, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, John. It's a pleasure to be here. Listen, you've just touched on a great question. So let's just dive right in and give your listeners some cutting-edge information that they can use in their own business. You mentioned the top two hot-button issues, which we constantly hear when speaking with small business owners: customers and revenue. Let's simplify this somewhat and focus first on customers. So first, you must generate leads, and then you must convert those leads into customers. So by breaking down the end result into leads and conversion, you can now put together a strategic plan of action to attain that end result. And as for revenue, once you generate leads and then convert those leads into clients, those clients will pay you a specific price for what you sell. And the price you charge should always be based on value you provide. So price and value are the first two components in the revenue equation, but it just doesn't stop there, John.
Well, okay, so what's next?
Well, you have expenses to pay. And those expenses come directly out of that revenue you just generated. So the next revenue component to consider is your margin. How much of that revenue do you actually get to put into your pocket? But you're still not done. If the customer only buys from you one time, you're right back where you started. Now you need to generate a new batch of leads and convert them into clients, and it becomes a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, that sounds about right, and that's certainly frustrating to a lot of business owners. Can they do anything about that situation?
Absolutely. What if you can compel your clients to increase the number of transactions they complete with you year after year? Instead of one and done, as we say, what if we could increase the number of times they buy from you? Think about it like this. If you could find a way to get just 25% of your current customers to buy 5 times from you every year instead of just once, your total revenue, annual revenue would increase or double. But most business owners focus solely on generating more leads instead of finding ways to get their current customers to spend more money with them. But here's what every business owner needs to know and understand. It's known as the 80-20 rule. And here's how it applies to small business owners. 20% of what small business owners do every day actually produces 80% of their total revenue. In other words, there are only a few things that generate the vast majority of revenue we make each day. Over the years, I've worked with many business owners, and we've discovered what makes up that 20% that all of us should focus on exclusively.
And could you share with our listeners exactly what it is you've discovered that makes up that 20%?
Okay, here we go. There are just 5 critical areas that every small business owner must focus on in order to build a multi-million-dollar business: leads, conversions, transactions, pricing, and profit. Let me use specific numbers to illustrate exactly the importance of these 5 items. In order for you to double your profits and create exponential growth, you have to start with a baseline. That means you have to know your current numbers in each of these critical areas. So you first need to work out exactly where your numbers are right now. And once you have them, you can work out what you need to do to double those profits and make sure that you spend your time doing what you should be doing. Let me give you an example, and I'll start with leads. Let's say your current baseline is 1,000 leads per year. Your conversion rate is 25%, meaning 1 of every 4 people you sit in front of agrees to buy from you. So that means you convert 250 of those 1,000 leads into customers. Let's also assume your number of annual transactions per customer equals 10. So each of those 250 clients or customers that buy from you, you sell 10 times every year. Let's further assume your average price is $100. So your 250 customers are buying a $100 product or service from you 10 times each year, which equals a total annual revenue of $250,000. However, you have to subtract out all of your expenses, including your rent, your mortgage, salaries, marketing, goods and services, and so on. So taking all of those into account, let's assume your profit margin is 25%. So of the $250,000 in sales, you're only left with a profit of $62,500. The goal now is to find a way to increase each of these 5 critical metrics for your business.
So, Teresa, you're saying that instead of living in a constant state of overwhelm as most business owners seem to do, these 5 areas can actually have a tremendous impact on their business.
Exactly. Let me show you what I mean looking at leads again. Did you know that there are 30 separate and distinct strategies that can dramatically increase your leads? And they're all field tested and proven to work.
Could you give us one of them?
Sure. One of the most effective and powerful ways to generate leads today is through a targeted direct mail campaign. A campaign means simply multiple mailings, since single mailing seldom or rarely produces positive results. So unfortunately, most business owners never attempt a direct mail campaign because of the expenses involved. However, if you know that one new customer brings you $100 10 times a year, then you know you'll make $1,000 from each customer you generate. So suppose you decided that you wanted to test direct mail. Let's say you elect to initially mail to 25,000 prospects. You can send direct mail today for around 60 cents each. So 25,000 prospects at 60 cents each means you'll invest $15,000 for that mailing. A typical 4% response rate produces 1,000 new leads. And if we stick with our original 25% close rate, then we know we'll get 250 new customers who bring us $1,000 of revenue for a total of $250,000. And if your profit margin is 25%, then your profit is $62,500. So you're obviously made substantial money from this campaign. But consider this. One of the strategies I teach my clients allows them to execute a direct mail campaign to as many homes as they want to target and do it all for free. All this strategy requires from the business owner is a minimal amount of their time.
You're kidding. Well, I gotta say, that sounds kind of too good to be true.
John, marketing is an infinite subject, and we are only limited by our imagination and our experience. One of the great advantages of being a student of marketing across multiple industries is that you begin to see solutions which are normally hidden to people who only operate in a single business model. Think about this. If you're a building contractor and you've been operating in that space for 25 years, how could you possibly know all the ways that a dentist in Australia markets his business or a car dealer in Japan? Experienced business coaches bring an outside perspective to their clients, and these fresh insights give their clients the ability to outperform the competition and, in most cases, to completely dominate their market.
I see what you're saying.
So, John, what if I could show a business owner how they could double their number of leads using a networking strategy, or how to implement a no-cost yet highly effective referral program, or how to set up lucrative strategic endorsement partnerships where other business owners sell their product or services on their behalf. Or perhaps you would like to use a presentation strategy where you host an online presentation highlighting what you do using a webinar or a teleseminar. Or how about a comprehensive internet marketing campaign using Facebook or LinkedIn? John, these strategies are just a drop in the bucket when it comes to helping you generate all the leads your business can handle. But whichever one of these strategies you elect to use for your business, do you think most business owners could conservatively generate at least 10% or more by using them?
That certainly sounds reasonable. Can you apply this to the example you just gave us?
Sure. Instead of generating 1,000 leads per year, which was what our original number was, would you say that conservatively you could easily generate 1,100 leads per year? That's just 100 extra leads per year, or just 2 leads per week. And remember, that's leads, not customers. So consider this example. Have you ever met a real estate agent when you ask them what they do, all they say, I sell real estate? That's not very compelling. And in fact, when a prospect hears that, they basically think, so what? There's nothing there that makes me want to engage with that agent. But real estate agents love to network. So let's say an agent goes to networking events and proclaims to everyone they meet that I sell real estate. Let's assume that for every 10 people that hear that agent say that, one becomes interested and wants to talk with them about possibly selling their home. But now consider this. Instead of telling people that I sell real estate, suppose they said this: I help families buy homes larger than they thought they could ever afford. Or suppose they said this: I can sell any home for top dollar within 29 days. And if I don't, I sell that home for free. Now, John, out of every 10 people that hear one of these statements, how many do you think might respond now?
Oh, wow. Well, I would think anyone even remotely thinking about buying or selling a home would want to know more from that agent.
Of course they would. But let's just stay very conservative and just say maybe only 2 respond to them right now. That's a 100% increase in leads, and just from changing one sentence coming out of their mouth. So my question now is this: with 30 powerful and proven lead generation strategies available to help small business owners generate more leads, would you agree that just a 10% increase in leads is an ultra conservative figure?
Absolutely. In fact, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Good. So that takes care of leads, right? So now let's tackle that second critical area, conversions. Your conversion rate is where a prospect becomes a customer or a client. They agree to buy what you sell. That simply means you found a way to compel their decision-making process so they choose you over your competition. What if we could help you convert your leads and close the sale at a rate that's just 10% more than you're doing right now?
Okay, give us some examples.
Well, what if I can teach you how to write powerful marketing and advertising copy along with persuasive sales scripts, and have you write all of them better than 95% of all copywriters alive today? Then what if your copy was so compelling and persuasive that it would position your business as the only logical choice for your prospects to buy?
And you can do that.
Not just that. Suppose I could give you a strategy that would teach you how to add so much value to what you sell that you could charge even more than your competition charges, and your prospects wouldn't think twice about paying you that much more. And what if I could teach you how to completely eliminate any of those barriers to entry for your prospects, and how to create that irresistible offer that practically forces your prospects to buy from you? And perhaps most importantly, what if we could hand you an entire drip campaign for your prospects who don't initially buy from you?
Well, that's certainly an impressive list, but tell me, what's a drip campaign?
So glad you asked. A drip campaign is a series of follow-up communications, usually email or direct mail, that continuously nurtures your prospects until they're finally ready to make a purchase decision. So did you know that the typical prospect doesn't buy until they receive a minimum of 6 marketing messages from you? If you're in business today, are you currently sending out a minimum of 6 follow-up messages to your current prospects? If not, you're leaving a fortune on the table.
Wow, I had no idea.
So now the big question: with all of these conversion strategies working for you, would you agree it should be easy to increase your conversion rate from our original 25% to perhaps 35%. That actually very, very easy to do. But as we did with leads, let's just keep the number ultra conservative. So would you agree, John, that conservatively, you would have no problem whatsoever increasing your conversion rate a meager 10% from, say, 25% to 27.5%?
Yeah, I think that's a bit too conservative.
I know, but let's just use the low number anyway. So now we're converting 27.5% of our 1,100 leads, which totals 302 clients. Remember, we started at 250 customers. Now we're at 302.
Cool. So what's next?
Now, let's just increase our numbers of transactions. Let's implement a series of strategies that will compel our clients to buy from us more often. So let me start with a real life example. So last week, I got the carpets cleaned for my parents, right? They're in their home. We had their carpets cleaned. The company came and they just cleaned 4 rooms. And I paid about $120. And that was the end of that transaction. And there was no process in place to try to get me to do more business with them more often. All the crew chief said to me was, if you have any friends that need their carpets cleaned, please let me know. Now, to be honest with everyone, we hadn't had carpets cleaned in over 2 years, and they really needed it. So what do you think I would have done if he would have suggested to me that I should enroll in his gold program and he'd do them for me 3 times a year at a special price? Now, I know I'm going to get the carpets cleaned again, but it doesn't mean I'm going to choose him, right? So in fact, the truth be told, the only reason I used him over anyone else is that his company offered a Groupon that caught my eye. I didn't know this company from a hole in the wall, but now that I hired them, they had the opportunity to get me on the hook for 3 additional cleanings per year, rather than coming out every 2 years. And if that strategy gets just 1 in 3 people to sign up for that, then that company just doubled their sales.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you have another one?
Sure. How about a florist, which is one of the favorite examples I like to use because most guys buy flowers for their better half once a year, if that. So suppose we could teach a florist how to set up a continuity program called Lover of the Year, where a guy could come into the flower shop once a year and select a prearranged package of flowers and gifts and cards, each targeting a very special date on the calendar for his better half, such as Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or her birthday or their anniversary, and perhaps one day as just a out of the blue, just thinking about your day. Okay? Each package the guy selects would include a specific floral arrangement that fits each unique occasion, a special gift that she will treasure forever, and a romantic card containing a special handwritten message. All of this can be chosen in about 20 minutes. So the florist will guarantee to deliver each arrangement on the appropriate dates and then send an email reminder to the guy the day before each delivery so that they don't forget the occasion and confirm that each delivery will be made on time. So the florist could also finance the entire package, right, over the 12 months and charge the guy's credit card a set amount each month to make the program more affordable and, more importantly, a no-brainer. So the guys love this because the entire year is planned out. They don't like to think too hard, right? And they have it all planned out in advance, and they don't have to make their typical last-minute dash to the store to pick up something for each and every occasion. Do you realize by doing this, this florist just conditioned this client to buy from them 5 times per year instead of once? And do you think this one guy will tell 4 or 5 friends about this unique program? Of course he will. Did you know that a version of this strategy can be adapted to work for almost any business in any industry? I can show you how to implement this strategy for any business on the planet, guaranteed.
Wow, that's incredible. So what's the impact then on our original business we've been talking about?
So looking back at the original numbers and remaining ultra conservative, could we assume it would be fairly simple to use strategies like this to increase our original 10 visits to just 11 visits per year? That's an ultra conservative 10%. So now we have 302 clients paying us 11 times a year versus 10 times. And at $100 a visit, that's $332,200 instead of $302,000.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see why you referred to this earlier as exponential growth.
Exactly. But now let's consider price. What if I could help you implement a series of targeted strategies that would allow you to instantly increase your sales price with no effect whatsoever on your conversion rate?
With no effect on conversions. Okay, now you have my attention.
Exactly. Did you know that price is one of the least understood components when it comes to small business ownership? Let me explain this in very basic terms. And for those of you that are small business owners, pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. This will be a major revelation for you. Suppose you sell a product for $100 and the net profit on that product is 25%. That means that after you pay the rent, the salaries, the commissions, the cost of acquiring that product to resell it, the utilities and everything else that goes into your business, you only get to put $25 of that $100 into your bank account. So what would happen if you increase that price by 10%? Do you realize that additional 10% is pure profit? Typically, there are no additional expenses that must be factored into determining your net profit. In fact, your net profit just increased from $25 to $35. That means your profit on this one product just increased by a whopping 40%.
That makes sense. But is increasing your pricing really feasible? Most business owners I know lay awake in bed at all night trying to figure out ways to lower their prices so they can be more competitive.
Yeah, they do. So the question becomes, how can you increase your prices and get away with it? There are two key methods here that will allow you to do that, and they go hand in hand with each other. The first is that you add more value. The easiest way to do that is through bundling. Bundling is where you take various products and services and put them together to create a new higher price offering. You see this all the time from infomercials where they wow you with the versatility and convenience of the new wave oven, and then they add everything, including the kitchen sink, to create that perception of massive value. So watch these commercials when you see them on TV, and you'll see they are following the same exact bundling formula, including at the end when they make their offer a complete no-brainer by deciding they will send you two of their products for the same price offer for one. You see that on the George Foreman grill, the Nutrisystem, the Snuggie. The list is endless. But they all use bundling to increase their perceived value, and they make a fortune doing it. The other factor is to explain the reason why you're increasing your prices to your customers. If you say to them, I had to increase my prices by 10% because of X, Y, and Z, then more often than not, they'll let you get away with it. But here's another revelation for all of you small business owners out there. The easiest and fastest way to increase your prices is to increase your prices. Yes, you heard it right. Simply raise your prices. Say 10%, right? Here's why. Most small businesses compete on price. So increasing their prices has never been an option, much less a consideration. That's because they have never considered the facts when it comes to increasing their prices. So for example, let's say a business sells a widget for $100 with a profit margin of 30%. If they discount their price by just 10% to $90, they must now sell 50% more widgets just to get back to their original profit margin. Does any business owner today really think a measly 10% discount would generate 50% of sales? Most of them offer discounts ranging from 25% to 50%. And then they wonder why they're going broke. But watch what happens when you increase your pricing. Let's say a business charges 10% more for that widget. That would make their price $110. Now ask yourself this question. Will that small increase really lead to a loss of customers? Well, probably not, unless the business offers a basic commodity, with many other competitors nearby offering that same exact thing at the lower price. And then it's basically convenience and it's not price that comes into play. But even if it doesn't lead to customer attrition, to what extent? With the 10% price increase, the business is now making an additional $10, all of which is pure profit. That's a 33% profit increase. For this business to make $1,000 in profit selling their widgets at $100 each, they would need to sell 33.3 widgets. But by increasing their price 10%, now they only need to sell 25 widgets. That means that just to break even, this business would have to lose 25% of its customers over a measly 10% price increase. That isn't going to happen. Of course, you always want to err on the side of caution and test, the increase on a small scale to, gauge that reaction. But trust me when I say that any customer attrition will be minuscule. So increasing the price of a business's products or services results in an immediate increase in the revenue and profits. So looking back at our original numbers, if we increased our original $100 price point by just 10% to $110, our total revenue increased from a $332,200 to $365,420.
Okay, you mentioned 5 areas of growth. What's number 5?
Well, last but not least is profit. Everything that we've just discussed is basically worthless if you aren't going to make a profit on each and every sale you make. I can teach you ways to slash your costs without affecting your day-to-day business operations. For example, I can show you how to use the art of barter to significantly reduce or completely eliminate many of your everyday expenses. You've got accounting and bookkeeping, printing, advertising, office supplies, and other everyday expenses that can be dramatically reduced or possibly eliminated by following our barter strategies. Do you also realize that you can see a huge increase in your profit margin just by properly identifying and then targeting your ideal client? This ties into that 80-20 rule we discussed earlier. In this case, it refers to the fact that 20% of your clients generate 80% of your total profits. If you can replace the 80% of your low margin clients with more of the 20% high margin group, you will see your margins dramatically explode, sometimes by as much as 16 times. Another example has to do with separating your business from your competition by becoming unique in what you do. So setting yourself apart from the herd creates a massive competitive advantage that can skyrocket your profit margins. So for example, one of our clients used to manufacture more than 1,000 different types of ceramic tiles and accessories. He voluntarily discontinued 80% of these products, focusing his sales and development efforts on only those products that gave him a competitive advantage. The result has been a rebirth in his company where he doubled his profit margin and increased his sales.
That's amazing.
So let's assume you implement just one of these strategies and keeping our numbers ultra conservative. Let's just say your profit margins increase 10% and go from 25% to just that 27.5%. We now go from our original profit figure of $62,500 up to $100,490. So we now have over $100,000 in profit. We've almost doubled our profits, which was our original goal. Not too bad, is it?
That's incredible. And it's so logical, it's frightening.
And we're not talking major changes here either. These are small incremental changes that barely cause any disruption in your current business. Any business owner could do this.
Okay, so we have a ton of small business owners listening to this podcast. Is there some way they can take advantage of this information?
My team and I have created a complete online small business coaching platform that can not only double or triple your profits, but it can create exponential growth for any business starting today. When you use all of our tools, resources, and templates, along with the powerful audio and video training we make available to you, you will immediately begin to see results exactly like this.
Okay. Let me play devil's advocate for just a minute. I think I know what most business owners are thinking right now. Can you actually prove to us in advance that this works?
That's a great question, John. And the answer is yes, of course. In fact, I'll prove to any business owner that this works by offering to put a large sum of money directly into their pocket, and I won't charge them a cent to do it. If any of your listeners will invest just 45 minutes of their time with me, I'll find them a minimum of $10,000 of extra profits hidden in their business, guaranteed. I know that sounds too good to be true, but I assure you that finding more than $10,000 for any small business owner is mere child's play for me. In fact, when I do these $10,000 challenges, as I like to call them, I typically find well north of $100,000 for them. I can do that because my partners and I have worked with thousands of business owners all over the country. And we've discovered that none of them are applying these very simple and easy business growth strategies that can unleash tens of thousands of dollars in hidden revenue in just a matter of minutes. So to everyone listening out there, just give me 45 minutes of your time, and using just 2 or 3 simple growth strategies, I'll find you a minimum of $10,000 hidden in your business without spending a cent on extra marketing or advertising.
Teresa, that's an incredible offer. So what's the catch?
There's a catch, John. Because I do want something in return for my time to do this, I'm currently writing a book that documents the process I use to find more than $10,000 for small business owners. My publisher just asked me to get 12 additional case studies to place in my book that officially documents my ability to find that type of money for any business in any industry. And listen, I want to be completely transparent here regarding this offer. The case studies I use in my book are going to enable me to get a ton of new clients for myself. Think about this for a minute. I go in and find, let's say, a daycare center an additional $178,000 in profit that they could be putting in their pocket every year, but aren't, John. I guarantee every one of those strategies I use to find that daycare, that additional revenue will apply to every other daycare on the planet. So look at the leverage that now gives me as a business growth strategist. I can now call up any daycare anywhere in the world and tell them that I just met with one of their competitors, XYZ Daycare. And in less than 45 minutes, I found them $178,000 in additional revenue for their business. I'm calling you because my additional research indicates I could produce similar and possibly better results for your daycare. And I would be interested in speaking with you about a possible profit sharing arrangement with your daycare. Could we schedule a brief 45-minute meeting and let me see if this type of revenue increase is possible for your daycare? Now, what do you think they're going to say? Talk about a complete no-brainer. So every case study I generate opens up a new niche market for me to contact and bring in new clients for my coaching practice. And that's why I'm offering this opportunity for your listeners. Not to mention, I'm passionate about helping these people. They're the lifeblood of our economy, and they get so little credit. So all I'm asking of your listeners in return for this service is that they allow me to use their results as a case study in my book. And this may also be important for your listeners to know. I don't have to use their name or the name of their business in the event they don't want me to. I can simply list their profession and leave off their name and the name of their business. My main interest is to document your actual results and nothing more than that.
So for those who are interested in accepting your offer, do they need to meet with you in person?
Not at all, John. I can do this just as easily over the phone. So it's totally convenient for those who would like to participate. So again, if any of you are interested in putting an extra $10,000 or more into your pocket for spending less than 45 minutes speaking with me over the phone, just go to yourpersonalgameplan.com, That will take you to my calendar where you can select the day and time most convenient for you. That's it. You'll call in that day and time. And in case anyone is wondering, this meeting won't be a sales call, will not be a sales call. There will be no selling whatsoever during this conversation. I got to reiterate that, John. There will be no selling whatsoever during this conversation. I'm going to strictly focus on finding you additional revenue and profits.
Teresa, that's an incredible offer. I think I may just have to take you up on that myself. But listen, thank you so much for being on the program today. I don't recall anyone I've ever interviewed providing so much practical and applicable information in such a short time frame. Would you mind repeating that URL again where people can apply for your $10,000 challenge?
Sure, John. Just go to yourpersonalgameplan.com and choose a day and time that's best for you. Then start figuring out where you would like to spend all that additional revenue I'm going to unlock for you.
Well, again, Teresa, thank you for that very generous offer. That was Teresa, one of today's top legal and business growth strategists. I hope you got as much out of today's interview as I did. I think I've taken close to 5 full pages of notes. I want to thank everyone for listening, and I want to encourage all of you to follow this podcast and visit the Blue Artists website as we draw closer to launching our exciting new service, Brand Desk. I'm John Marble, and this has been Build Your Difference.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Difference. If you'd like to learn more about how Blue Artists can help you develop a distinguished brand that inspires and engages a growing audience, then please visit us at www.blue-artists.com and be sure and subscribe to our monthly podcast for the latest tips and trends in brand development and marketing. And remember, you're not just making a brand, you're making a difference. Start building yours today.